and welcome to the Queen's Couch Podcast with our amazing host, Dr. Tyniko Victoria. She curates a space for women where all women are encouraged to collaborate and do not collide. Join us on the couch tonight. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight on the Queen's Couch. Tonight, we have an amazing topic. Our topic tonight, we're talking about the strong woman syndrome. And tonight, I have with me none other than our special guest, Dr. Janice Green. I'm calling her doctor already. Coach Janice Green, she is the reset coach. And so I'm excited to have her with us tonight. But before we get started, we want to thank our sponsor for tonight. Our sponsor for tonight is Queen's Coaching and Consulting. Queen Coaching and Consulting is an educational consultant firm that helps educators launch out into being entrepreneurs, advance in their career, and provide professional development to childcare centers and those who are working with children from the age of birth to 5 years old. Thank you tonight for Queen's Coaching and Consulting being our special sponsor for tonight. But we are about to dive into this conversation. But before we get started, I always like to share a little bit about our guests. How did I meet our guests? What first attracted me to our guests? So tonight, I think we first met Janice Green. She was out in the community doing philanthropy, helping families who have been impacted by incarceration, providing them with Christmas toys. So that's when we first met. But what Janice Green does is she empowers, she helps heal, and she is an inspiration to those around her. So I'm going to let you tell a little bit about yourself, but I want you to know, listen, she embodies resilience, empowerment, and healing. Born and raised in New York, a proud Puerto Rican, and guess what? Her life journey through significant challenges has forged her into a dynamic minister of the gospel, certified life coach, prison wife coach, author, speaker, and an advocate for prison reform. So tonight, I have none other than Coach Janice Green. How are you tonight?
Hello, Dr. Tyniko. At first, I was like, "Who is that she's reading about?" How you doing?
Doing wonderful on tonight. How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm good. I'm excited for what we're about to talk about.
I am too. I'm very excited about this topic. And so, one of the things I like to say before we get into these topics, listen, we are not, I put that disclaimer, we are not mental health professionals. This is not in any way to provide you with therapy, but we're here to provide you with tools, strategies. If you really have a need for counseling, you can definitely reach out to a psychologist, a support group. But we are here just to have a conversation. Many of our thoughts are evidence based practices, and many of them are just from our personal experiences. So we just want to put that disclaimer out there before we get started. So I'm so excited to have you tonight. So tell me a little bit, tell everybody about yourself.
Hey everyone, I am Coach Jay, and I get to be on this amazing platform with I call her my sister, the amazing Dr. Taniko. Listen, if you are not following her, I need you to go ahead and follow her YouTube channel. Please make sure you subscribe so you can stay updated with all the great things that she will be uploading right here on the platforms that we are connected to. So I have been doing a little bit of everything. I am a prison wife coach. I have a support group for prison wives to help you carry the weight of the weight during the prison journey. Loved ones, your husbands, fiancés, boyfriends, just trying to keep that relationship together, but also making sure to give the tools and the different techniques and strategies for women to not be consumed by the prison sentence while they're holding their loved one down. So I'm big about coaching prison wives. And then also I have also transitioned into have my own business called Janice Green Co, where I get to coach women reset their entire lives mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, in every area through therapeutic processes. I do have my master's in mental health counseling. We're not doing counseling, but that's where I really began to really understand more about mental health and how trauma can definitely keep women, many people, women, men, children, in a stunted place, and how counseling is a place where you can receive what you need. Tools does not mean that you're crazy. It means that you love yourself enough to get someone to help you to get out of the places that have damaged you, that have hurt you, or people that have dropped you, so that you can become everything that God has called you to be. And so I'm getting ready to do something called Get Your Pink Back brunch on June 8th, right here in Florence, South Carolina. So I'm really excited about that. So, yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And so I'm excited tonight because one of the things that we're talking about is the strong woman syndrome. And so some people say, is this a real syndrome? Is it really real? What's going on? So I will give you a little bit of background. This is actually a real thing. It
Yes.
was actually coined back in 1984 as the strong woman syndrome, but I believe that it dates all the way back before 1984. And so we've always been taught to be strong. We've always been taught to be resilient, but sometimes we do need help. And so those are the things that we are definitely going to talk about on tonight. And so I definitely have a few questions for you. Tell me, when you hear the word strong woman syndrome, what is the first thing that comes to your mind, Coach?
The first thing that I hear that I comes to my mind about strong women syndrome is unrealistic. Yeah. I think the strong woman syndrome is something that has been passed down generationally. I believe it is a cultural thing. It's one of these things that if you're not a strong woman, if you are not showing that you can have it all together, keep it always together, keep your face together, keep your family together, all these things of just not being real with your emotions or even letting your authentic self be shown, it's unrealistic. So we put these unrealistic expectations on us with the strong woman syndrome, and we put this unnecessary pressure on us to always show up, show up, show up on this level that is just not real.
That is so true. Showing up and it's not real. And so, one of the things people may ask, how do I know that I'm suffering from the strong woman syndrome? And so, it says many women who suffer from the strong woman syndrome, guess what? They often have anxiety, they're
Yes,
tired, they're fatigued,
yes,
they can't even concentrate and focus. So, when you're talking about, I just have a brain fog, I can't function, you're often operating in that strong woman syndrome. And
right.
so I want to dive into it a little bit. Why do you think women adopt the strong woman syndrome? What is the root cause of a woman saying, I don't need any help. I'm going to do it all myself. I'm going to suffer in silence because I'm supposed to be strong. Where do you think that comes from? What are some things that is really operating in a woman's mind when she believes that I don't need anyone and I'm just a strong woman all by myself?
Well, I can't help it, but I do got to come with a little bit of the background of mental health. I believe it's because we might have been exposed to something while we were growing up that might have made us feel dropped, whether it was emotionally, mentally, where we might have felt um, something might have happened to us. So we went to someone who we can trust, who is supposed to protect us, and they didn't believe us. And so they dropped us there. We felt like they didn't believe what we were telling them. Not feeling protected growing up, not feeling nurtured, not feeling secure, not feeling loved, not feeling validated. Um, might maybe early exposure to seeing their parents struggling, trying to receive help, and because of their experiences telling us, hey, don't ask nobody for help, you do it by yourself. We got, so we don't go out and ask anybody, because if you ask, we don't look, how they say, we ain't trying to get a handout, how they say. And so I think that it can definitely be from being dropped, and that drop can mean in every area, any category, and something in our minds, that experience has cultivated us to believe, I got to do it. I have to have it all together. I cannot ask for help. I cannot show vulnerability, because if I show vulnerability, I remember last time when I showed vulnerability, blah, blah, blah. I can't be vulnerable. I can't show that. I have to make sure I'm showing that I can handle it all. And because of that, like you said, it leads to burnout, being stressed, anxiety, depression, and it's like a workaholic type of mindset, and almost to the point of dealing with perfectionism.
That is so good. And when we talk about perfectionism, so many women suffer from perfectionism. They want everything to be perfect. But in
Yes.
a realistic world, everything cannot be perfect. And if you're waiting for something to be perfect, you kind of miss out on the moments and the things that should happen. And so when I think back to the strong woman, you see her in movies. You see her portrayed as championing for the family, but what she goes through is such horrendous
Yes.
turmoil. And it's so sad sometimes. She ends up broken,
Yes.
hurting, bitter, not happy because she's put everybody before herself. She
Come
doesn't feel
on.
like she doesn't even know who she is without
Yep.
helping someone else. Her
Yep.
identity is tied to what she does, who she is. She's often that person that you say, "Hey, tell me about yourself." And the first thing they say is, "I'm a mom, I'm a teacher, I'm a minister, or I'm a therapist." They never tell you about the core of who they are, because everything in the strong woman is tied to who they are, to mask all
Yes.
the hurt, the brokenness, the insecurity, you
Yes.
know, it just comes from that place. So what are
Absolutely.
some things, cuz I've been there. I've been through
Me too.
tremendous things in my life. I go back to even the pandemic. I go back to I moved away from Columbia. I moved by myself to Greenville, which I know that I had to do. But I went through difficult times because of instances that happened on my job, just
Mm.
things that could be emotional when I literally would be home, wouldn't even tell anybody. Some people didn't even know I went through all of that until it was over,
Right.
because I didn't even let the people who could be there for me be there for me, because I wanted to keep it to myself. I was showing up for everybody else
Yes.
except for myself. And so that really caused me to burn out. I mean, I just couldn't think straight. I just was going through the motions. I really
Yes.
didn't even know who I was as a person outside of being a childcare director, outside of working in ministry,
Come
outside
on.
of being a sister, outside of wanting to be in a relationship. I didn't know who I was as a person. I didn't know what I liked.
Yeah.
I only know what I had to do. And I just was
Mhm.
on autopilot. And so I just had to sit with myself and figure out who
Yep.
I really was as a person. I had to get therapy to take back layers and layers and
Listen.
layers and layers
Listen.
of who people told me I should have been, and how I should act and how I should behave, what my
Mhm.
mannerisms should be. And so that led me to just be on this quest, like, what
Yeah.
is it about us that makes us this strong? And I think, just as you said, it goes back to in your house. What goes on in this house stays in this house. Women
House.
could be homeless. They could be living in their cars. They could not
Listen.
have food for their kids. But before they ask for help, they would just say, "I'm strong and I can handle it."
That's
And
right.
this is not this is not what should be happening. There are
No.
people in your life, there, your community, your village, and they don't even know what's wrong. I heard someone say, "You're telling God and you have the audacity to go to him and say, 'Nobody's here for me.' But the
Mhm.
people he's putting here to be for you, you're not even telling them what's wrong, because
Yeah.
you have adopted um the strong woman syndrome."
The strong woman
So
syndrome.
what would you tell someone who's in that phase, that they're showing up for everybody except for themselves. What would you tell that person, Coach Denise?
Yeah, I was gonna say with the woman syndrome, strong woman syndrome, it it puts you in a place where there you got to really ask yourself, do I love myself? Do I really love myself? Because at the end of the day, that syndrome leads to a place that is very lonely. That it doesn't really talk. It doesn't let you have self care. It doesn't give you time to process emotions because everybody want to stay busy because the busy is what self medicates them so they don't have to deal with their past, present, or whatever issue. And so I would say to that woman is one, you have to take the badge off of you of this whole strong woman syndrome. I understand that it may feel secure, it may feel safe because all you got is me, myself, and I. But at the end of the day, you won't be able to really be everything you've been called to be with that syndrome because we're in this season right now that it's collaboration over competition, right? So in order to collaborate with women, in order to collaborate with the community, in order to get things that we need to get done, you have to seek support. And the strong woman syndrome does not let you seek support, and it convinces you to believe that it's weak to ask for support. And so if you're not getting support and you're not getting the resources that you need, you're not getting the pour that you need, you're not getting the information that you need, you're not getting the hug that you may need, the prayer that you may need, what does that lead to? Being stagnant. So the strong woman syndrome, you may think it's like a heroic thing, like, yeah, I'm she woman. Yeah, go ahead and be she woman and still have no fruit and still have no growth. You won't have anything to really show other than possibly some hospital visits, high blood pressure, medication, and maybe even alone, because a strong woman syndrome also, it keeps you from building healthy relationships. You'll have relationships, but you'll notice that it'll be one of those relationships where people are always asking you, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this, because a strong woman syndrome believes that it doesn't need to be poured into. It needs to give, give, give. So you'll start noticing most of the people in your circle are to take and not to pour. And so, yeah, that's where even bitterness comes from. You start telling yourself, oh, no one's there for me. You haven't put yourself in a position for someone to be there for you. And many people God has sent to help you, but when they came to help you, you said, oh, no, no, God is going to come and bring me a life jacket. No, 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 God's going to bring me a boat. No, 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 God is going to do this. No, God is going to do that. And you missed it. What I'm telling you guys, the strong woman syndrome is a setup for you to never progress in life. Strong woman syndrome is to burn you out and to never tap into the full potential that is inside of you. That syndrome is to suppress the gift that you are to the world. And that gift needs support. It needs self love. It needs self care. And it needs the curse word vulnerability. Vulnerability does not mean weakness. Vulnerability means I'm going to be not transparent, but maybe translucent, where I'll be able to share a little bit with people. I don't have to go into details. And another thing I want to say, a lot of women don't like vulnerability. Well, men and women don't like the word vulnerability because it scares them. And I think it's because sometimes we have to delete previous experiences that we had when we were vulnerable because we were vulnerable with the wrong people. Let's take responsibility, okay? So we were vulnerable with the wrong people because we had the strong woman syndrome in our minds. And so we might have had a moment of what we were being soft, because it's like weak to be soft. And we were soft with the wrong person. So now that made us even harder. Our shell harder, our heart harder, even our head. We don't want to listen harder. And so revisit being vulnerable. Vulnerability is giving someone space to see parts of you, not all of you, but parts of you, so that they can come alongside you and help you grow. Ladies, we're in a season now that a lot is shifting for women. I know we've been carrying a lot, but There is another level of that we're going to be occupying and moving into leadership and in different areas, and God is trusting with us with that. We have to move from being a strong woman syndrome to just being a woman of strength, and there is a difference. I
Yes.
said too much. You know me, Dr. Taniko.
No, no, I love this. I love that because one of the things I said on my own personal journey to vulnerability, and I always tell people that vulnerability is the connection to healthy relationships. Because
Yes.
when you're not vulnerable, no one really knows who you are. And
Yes.
a lot of times when you're not continually vulnerable in your relationships, when you are vulnerable, people don't know what to do for you. They don't know how to show up for you
Yep.
in that way. I remember there was a time I was going through this state of depression, and I had friends around me, and so they had never seen me cry. They had never seen anything. So when they saw me in this moment of crying, they all didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to. This girl never cries. I'm talking we were friends for 10, 15 years almost. They had never seen
Wow.
me cry. I would cry in silence, but I was always taught to never cry in front of people, never let those emotions come out. And so when that time came, um, they didn't know what to do. They didn't have the capacity to be able to pour into me because they didn't know what level of pour I needed because I had this mask on of I'm
Right.
strong, I got it, it's okay, yeah, it's gonna be fine. And that's what we tell ourselves.
Yes.
But that does not mean that we're fine. It's okay to say that you're not all right. So if you're somebody who always says fine, I want you to really stop saying that as a defense mechanism
Because,
or to
yeah,
get people to leave you alone. Oh, I'm fine. Or we quote a scripture, or we use
I'm
a scripture,
blessed.
or we use, prayer. I'm gonna pray about it. But I always tell people faith without works is dead. Jesus put people in your life. God was very relational.
Come on.
Jesus was not by himself. The only
No.
time Jesus was by himself was when he went to pray, when he went to commune with God. Everything he did, every part of ministry that he did was with a group of people. Everything about Jesus was relational.
Yes.
The relationship with his family, the
Yes.
relationship with his disciples, those that he called friends. He had friends. He was not a loner. And
Mm-mm.
so I think when we take on these false sense of what people have told us in church, in our Christian walk, when we really haven't really studied who Jesus really was,
Yep.
to know that he had moments where he had to really wrestle with himself when it was time to go to the cross. All of those things he had to overcome because he knew that we would overcome them.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
when you're not being collaborative or you're not being relational, that really is not of God because
It's
that's
thank
nothing
you.
about who
Thank you.
Jesus
Thank you.
nothing about who Jesus was. So if you're telling yourself all you need is Jesus, you are a liar and the truth is not in you because Jesus
Thank
had 12 people around him at all times, except for when he went to pray and when he went to the cross, and he still had people there.
you.
So that I need to be alone and all I need is Jesus is a trick of the enemy. It's a part of the strong woman syndrome. It's a part of you not getting what you need in fullness. And
Yes.
so I really have really passionate about number one, mental health in the church, and number two, breaking these cycles that we've taken
Come
on.
on.
I have divorced the strong woman. I tell everybody that, and they look at me like I am absolutely crazy. I have divorced the strong woman. We
Come
have had a
on.
divorce ceremony and a decree. I am a woman of strength and I am soft. I am submissive. And guess what? That is what God has called me to be. That's all about my womanhood. This
Yes.
hard life, He didn't call me to that. And I
Come
am
on.
not
It ain't
embracing
you.
it
It ain't you.
anymore. It is not me, and so, that's one of the things, I think about when I see women just struggling and going through things and just going on. in hardships, and it's so sad that they
It,
wake up and realize I didn't live the life that God has for me.
come
You
on.
know, and so I want to ask you a question. Do you
What?
believe the strong woman syndrome is culturally, or does it transcend cultures? Because it may look different in different cultures. Um, but do you think every culture has a sense of the strong woman syndrome within their culture?
I do. I do. I'll say for the Hispanic culture. Um, well, well, I was told growing up, one, you could not, you don't cry, because crying, it shows that there is weakness. Asking for help outside of the family was an embarrassment to the family. So those things, they do begin to cultivate your personality. um we my when the parents are strong-willed and strong, you feel like you have to be like them, in my culture. And so I think other cultures, the vulnerability, I think, is hard for all culturally. I believe it also transcends, it continues. Yes. I think that a lot of us are struggling in the area of asking for help because something in us, whatever was instilled in us, it's almost like, what did you do wrong to put yourself in a position to ask for help? When at the end of the day, some things that we are called to do require help. It's nothing that I did wrong. Vision requires relationships. Vision requires help, right? And so I think in all possibly cultures, they do struggle with asking for help. Um, and it's like more of a maybe pride. It comes from pride of, okay, pride and the fear of rejection, and that comes from my culture as well. What if they say no? But we have to get to a place to change our perspective a little bit, right? And let's see if those who are following me can catch this. It's one thing asking for somebody for $5 and they have not done what they're supposed to do to get to a better place, whether to get a job, right? That's one situation. But another situation where you have reached a certain place in your life and you have a project that God has given you, and you're good and you're stable. You just need assistance. But I got to stay strong, so I can't ask for help. Let's change our perspective in seeing it like this. And this is not arrogance. This is just being confident in God. When you go to someone, hear me. I don't want you to see it as you're looking for a handout or a donation. I want you to speak in a way about your project, your vision, your business, your dream, your whatever, your next show, whatever it is, that you are giving them an opportunity to sow into good ground. Change your perspective and see it as, okay, I'm not just asking for help, I'm giving them an opportunity to plant a seed in my life that will grow back in theirs. We have to build our confidence that what God has given us, if you are a part of this, God is going to bless you too because you connected with me. Instead of seeing it as, hey, can you be a sponsor for my event? I know I don't normally do that. No, 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 no. Hey, look, I have this great sponsorship opportunity and I'm telling you, da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? Let them see it as it's an honor to collaborate, to partner with you. And if it's a situation where we are going through, like many, maybe no, not everybody knows, but my when I went through being homeless, I wanted to keep my strong woman syndrome, right? But at the end of the day, Janice needed to eat. Janice needed a roof over her head, and I had a child. So I had to get to the place of, am I going to let my pride get to the point of affecting my child's lifestyle, and making sure I protect her, not just physically, but emotionally? I need to ask for help. So as you know, our sister, Dr. Sinetta, let me come in. She definitely opened her house and her arms to me. But sometimes your ask is not just for you. It's also for what's connected to you or for your, for your purpose or your future. At that time, I did it because of my child. Now, if I didn't have my child, I don't know. I don't know. I can't lie to you. She helped me ask. But um, yeah, I just wanted to just talk about that. Change your perspective of when you're asking for help. It's not just I'm looking for a handout or, oh, I'm going through something, help me. See it as a way of, you know what? I planted a lot of seeds in my life. This is my time to reap, and I'm in a situation, so let me ask for assistance. And see it as that, as they are now pouring into you or planting a seed in you. And the worst thing they can say is no. But I promise you, after you get a no, there's a yes. And some of us have to go through a process of asking, of humbling ourselves. Yeah, I said the word humbling ourselves and being vulnerable. Let me tell you something. The world right now is tired of seeing everyone saying, I'm blessed of the Lord. I've made it. I've arrived. The world now wants to see the ugly. Show me how you got there. I'm telling you, the strong woman syndrome is going to cut that out. And how are we really ministering? We're supposed to be conquerors by each other's testimony. So if we're not telling the story, then are we really helping them? And so some things we are facing, we have to literally, God puts us out there as a billboard so that people can see the process, right? Of how you got there. I'm so tired of hearing how they got there. I need to hear the steps. So how I know how I could get there. In order to do that, we have to be a woman of strength, a woman of being vulnerable. And I'm telling you, that strong woman syndrome, I see it even as a prison to keep you locked up. And so many women are so they wear it like a medal, Dr. Tyniko, like they're so proud of it. And little do they know, yeah, like they've it's like a trophy. And if you only understood the depletion that is happening to you, the stunt, you being stagnant, what is draining you every day to wear that badge every day, it's draining you. And also it's keeping you from really meeting the real you, and it will keep you from being what you were created. Can you imagine never really becoming what you were created to be? You were just a representative of it. No, all the hell that I've been through. Can I say hell on here? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're
For
fine.
all the hell that I've been through, I don't got time to sit here and try to be cute with the strong. No, listen, I've been broke. I've been homeless. I've been this. I've been that. I've been a prison wife. I held my husband down during a bid. I'm going to tell it all because I don't have time to sit here. I'm focused so much on this badge and I'm missing on life. Let it go, y'all. Let it go so that you can really become what you are called to be, not what you think you're supposed to be. Okay, I talked enough. Go ahead, Dr. Taniko.
No, that is amazing. No, honestly, that is so true. One of the things you said, you will never become who you are supposed to be. And so that is the one thing. And I always, right now, I'm learning how vulnerability really is your strength. And so as we talk about this strong woman syndrome, how does it show up in your romantic relationship? How does it show up with your life partner? How does it show up with you? um with your
Woo.
husbands, or if you're engaged, or if you're dating? How does this strong woman show up? Are you really showing this individual who you are? So I'm in my soft woman era journey. I'm on a journey of womanhood right now. And
Shana.
what I will say is, when I used to and you know, I'm a work in progress. Sometimes whew. So when I fly off the handle, and when I don't calmly use words that season with grace, I get pushback. But as soon as I um, am kind with my words, things shift. Or if I say what I want to say in a kind way, then I shift. Or either I just don't say anything until it's the right time.
Right.
Things shift in relationships because I have a friend and they always say, listen, I'm not marrying a woman. if both of us have two penises. Both of
Period.
us are going to be the head.
We
Period.
can't.
And I think sometimes us being so strong is that we don't even want to be vulnerable for the people that are in our lives.
Woo.
Sometimes we end up saying, I just want him to love me. I just want him to love me. Well, he doesn't know how because you're two different people. Inside, you're the sweet, docile girl that just wants someone to love you, but you're showing him that you're this lioness roar. Everything he does, everything he says, is it right? So how do you know how to love? When you see a little girl and she's dressed up and she has on her cute little socks, and when she falls, immediately everyone stops what they're doing because they expect to go and help this little girl because they know she's fragile. They know that she needs to be taken care of. But when you're showing up
Come on.
hard, you're showing up like you're the strength. How, when you're having moments where you are falling apart and you need love from the opposite sex, how is that going to happen? Because he's not seeing you as this person I need to take care of and nurture and love. He's seeing you as his equal. And not in terms, not saying that you're lesser than a man, but he's not seeing you as a woman he needs to cherish or the person he needs to cherish because you both are in your masculine
Come
energy at
on.
that moment. And so that's where the friction comes in at that moment. So what would you say to a woman who says, I can't find me a man. Chivalry is dead. Chivalry ain't there because I promise you, every time I get to a door, a man opens it for me because I expect him to open the door. And if he sees me and he's opening the door, I'm gonna pause if he's like a little behind me to make sure he opens the door.
Yep.
That's just if I don't feel like pumping my gas. Now that's not safe. Don't follow me up. Sometimes I might ask the guy, "Hey, do you mind pumping my gas, please?" And I mean, don't listen now. You might you gotta have wisdom of who you might ask to pump your
Yeah.
gas.
Yeah.
But you have to expect these things. You have to smile. Like when I go into places, I'm always smiling because I never know who I'm going to meet. I never know who I'm going to talk to. I never know who I may be meeting, who
Come
may
on.
not be a person for me, but I might know an amazing sister that I can introduce them to. So you need to always be smiling, always be happy, not looking like you got the weight of the world on your shoulder because no one's going to really approach you like that. They're
Mm-mm.
not. Like I'll
They're not.
give you an example. I had to go to I'm in this support group, so we had a meeting on Saturday at the library. So I'm just walking in smiling, and so this guy opened the door. He said, "Wow, you really smell nice." I said, "Why, thank you." And so we just had a conversation, and I kept it moving. It wasn't he was trying to hit on me, but the reason he felt comfortable saying that is because I had a smile. And when you don't have a smile and you have this hard exterior, your mate, your purpose partner probably done passed by you 1 million times. And he was so afraid, like, I don't want that. I want someone who I want to take care of, someone who I can pour into.
Yes.
And so men are naturally wired that way to take care of
Yes.
you. And so when you put yourself in a position of vulnerability and strength
Come
instead
on.
of strong masculine, then you get different stories. So what would you say to those women? I know you're married, so tell us a little bit how that has translated for you.
I
Just
need a I need a sip of tea or something. Woo! Look at your neighbor. So, okay. Number one, I would say before I go into my side of being a married woman, um, ladies, we have to check our energy. Check your energy. um if you have to see what you're attracting, okay, and what if you're attracting something that you don't want, it's probably something about you that is attracting it, right? Or a scent, not a real scent, or maybe a regular scent, but something residue, right? um there's some men that might have passed by you because they felt your energy as masculine, and he don't want no dude. Okay, he want a woman that's soft, gentle. Okay, the strength that is in women. Let me tell you something. We can push a man. I believe a man can have a vision, but we help them birth. the greatness out of that vision. Okay. That we have to take, I'm not saying don't be strong, repurpose it. Okay. Take your strength and put it into prayer, put it into preparation, put it into birthing him, putting into encouraging him. That there's so much energy that needs to be put in there. You need the strength of God when it comes to men, okay? Or even the strength of shutting up, okay? When you want to tell them off because they rocked you again, because they didn't pick up the sock again, or they didn't throw out the trash again, and we need the strength to shut up, right? Okay, so as for me, I remember there was one time that I was telling my husband Barry something that I needed him to do this. I was like, why didn't you do it? I understand, da 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 da. I can't remember, y'all. I don't want to lie. It was something I wanted him to do. And he said, well, Janice, you're always so strong. I didn't think I needed to do it. I said, point taken. So in relationships, right? A man doesn't want to feel like he's in a matching box with you. Okay. And so even with being making him open up, it's going to be based on you. You are his safe place. So when he comes at you a certain way because he's now fought the world and now he's home or y'all out and about, he's looking for a soft answered woman, a woman that will give him what he did not get out there. I started to talk about it, but women be like, oh, he cheated on me and I didn't do nothing wrong and da 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 da. Sometimes it's because he feels like he's fighting the world and fighting you. And so he's going to go to the person that he doesn't have to hear fuss, fight. He can just literally lay his head, quote unquote, down on her lap in a safe place. They don't want us to be their mama. We don't want to be their mama, but yes, they want to feel mothered in a way. They want to feel nurtured. They want to feel loved, but don't be his mama. We don't got time for that. You his wife. It's a different authority, okay? But there is a balancing that has to take place. Women, I get it about, oh, I need to be strong, da 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 da. He can't enter in. Then you need to go sit down somewhere and go work out some of your issues. Because I'm telling you, in a relationship with a real man, not these wannabe men that they say want to be a husband because they just want the title. I'm talking about real men that want to be married. They're looking for someone to cover. But if you're the strong one out here and always got something to say, he may not even feel like he can cover you properly, emotionally, spiritually. They want you to be humble enough. So you have to get to a place, if you feel that you're too strong, that you can't submit, that you can't hear no, that you can't tone it down, because he don't want, for me, he don't want J go from the block. Okay, I'm still working on it, but I came a long way. I'm not on the block, I'm on the street. And so, so I've toned it down some, but it will turn him off. It will turn him off. And it's going to put you in a place of thinking that he's doing something. You're going to start thinking you're not pretty enough. Little do you know, it's because he doesn't like how you talk at him. Talk to him. I'll talk about me, and Sonetta could tell you, listen, I speak two languages, okay? Say, two languages, Spanish and English. And when I got upset, I was I was at it, right? What a time that I probably could have done more progress. It could have been better, positively impactful if I would have just shut up. But the strong William syndrome in me said, oh, he ain't gonna do this to me because I told myself that I will never, how we would do, I will never let anybody hurt me again. I will never let somebody use me and abuse me. And really what we're doing is we're yelling at the one that God might have sent. Hear me, the one that God might have sent, and we're yelling at him, but really we're yelling at the one that's behind him. And so that strong William syndrome is making us believe I have to be like this because he just got to know that he got a strong woman and this is what it is and da 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 da, and you look stupid and lonely. We got to get to a place that we sit down and get healed, let go of that strongness or repurpose the strong into an area that he's going to need it, like birthing businesses, seeing what he does not see. Spiritually, you're going to need the strength of God, okay? I'm telling you, I have now turned my mouth at more times to be soft spoken. And another thing God told me, he started dealing with me about this whole, because that's where it comes from, the strong women syndrome. You're not going to do me like other people have done me, right? God was dealing with me, and he was like, the reason why you feel like you have to always talk back or to make sure that you're not feeling abused is because, not because you don't trust him, it's because you don't trust me, as in God. And so if you're so busy protecting yourself, and you're making sure that your man don't hurt you or your future husband don't hurt you, then you don't need God. Now, if you're ready to go into the place of being in a wife, fiance relationship, then you're going to have to get to a place of letting love make you vulnerable and trusting God in the process. But if you're busy around trying to protect yourself, then you don't need God. Therefore, you don't need that man, because you got you. You got to get to a place of, I don't have it all together. That's why I'm a helpmate, not a hell raiser. And I'm going to go through this process so I can become a wife. But again, it's going to go back to you letting go of the strong woman syndrome, because that syndrome makes you a whole lot. And you will talk yourself out of a beautiful relationship. You will demasculate him to nothing. You will even hinder him of him being who he needs to be because of this. Because you feel like you have to be the strong woman syndrome, and you have to show you protecting yourself like you God. Listen, it's a process. That's I don't know if I'm helping the people, but I'm
You
telling
are.
you.
Listen, you have lots of comments. Someone said, "Oh my God, a guy just was telling them that they don't want to have to fight the world and then fight you too. So they have to, Someone else said, being stupid and lonely. Um, you know, so that is within itself very important. Not only in the strong woman syndrome, there's women who are so strong, and then there's some who suffer in silence when it comes to relationships that they really are toxic and they need to be out of. And so when I think of the movie that comes to my mind is Fences.
Mm,
And when I think of Fences, I think of the epitome of what the strong black woman syndrome could do. Um, the way that the person abused her and the way that she just kept staying there and kept being there because she felt like she had to be strong. And in some instances, we need to calm down and be docile. In some instances, we need to love ourselves enough to walk away from relationships that are toxic, that do not see the value in us, that causes you so much pain because they keep hurting you over and over and over and over, and you feel that because you stick and you stay, as people like to say, that you got this badge of honor, that you stayed. You shouldn't have a badge of suffering. God said you should have long suffering, but your entire life should not be a life of suffering. He also promised you prosperity and joy and great things in your life too. And so sometimes the strong woman syndrome can also be synonymous with I got to be long suffering, and I'm suffering for the purpose. But sometimes it's really not you suffering for the cause of Christ. It's you suffering because of yourself, because of pride, because of fear of the unknown, not getting out there and loving yourself. And so there's so many facets to a strong woman and how it affects your life. You don't want to get help, or you don't want to let people in. But then sometimes you can be that people pleaser that everything happens. You just let it fly by and you cause it as it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. But sometimes you need to know when to show your strength, to have strength enough to walk out of things or walk away from people who don't respect your boundaries, who don't respect you, who are not loving you the way that you should be loved. So I'm
Right.
not, by no means are we saying, hey, stay in a relationship where the person is toxic. But we're talking about someone who wants to love you, who has your best interests at heart, who is a true man of God, and who sometimes when we haven't had fathers in our lives, we don't know how men talk. And so sometimes we don't know how to take the voice of a man. And I had someone to tell me that before because I didn't grow up with my father. I grew up with men around me, but not a father in a home. And so when I was just telling them a story, they said, you didn't grow up with a father in the home because sometimes men are direct and they tell you what they need you to do. And so sometimes when you don't have that, that voice is foreign to you and you're thinking that this person is being harsh or this person is being stern. And sometimes men are just kind of stern with what they need to tell you. And sometimes they're loving, they're caring, but when they're taking in their authoritative role, you got to realize when they're saying, listen, I need to take control of this
Yes.
situation and you need to lay back. But because you're so used to being in charge, you're thinking that it's diminishing you as a woman. They're not taking your advice. They don't want to listen to you. No, they're put here to cover you and protect you. And so sometimes when they're being strong and when they're being harsh, those are the things that um happen when you are not in relationship with men. So I tell women, single women, I tell them you should have relationships with men that are not um relationships where you're romantically involved, but good brothers that can
Right.
really talk to you so you know how to interact with men. Because if you don't really learn how to interact with men, sometimes you can take your conversations and just make it more than what it is. And that's all a part of that strong woman syndrome. And so I want to ask you, Coach Denise, what are some words you would leave tonight as we're getting ready to wind down and make some announcements for tonight? What are some words you would leave to the women who are in this phase of the strong woman syndrome? What would you say to them on tonight?
First, I need you to exhale. 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 You don't have to have it all together. It's okay to not be okay. It's just not okay to stay not okay. You have to understand that being strong all the time, having unrealistic expectations is putting a pressure on you that can be very harmful to you, to those around you, to your family, and for your future. You are more than enough. You have everything you need already inside of you. I'm validating you now that you have what it takes to be whatever you want to be and become. You don't have to keep trying to prove yourself to anyone. You don't owe anybody an explanation. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't have to continue to walk around with this badge. Release the badge so that you can live. Release this badge so that you can really live. When was the last time you laughed? When was the last time you let your hair down? When was the last time you had a good cry? When was the last time on the spiritual level? Because the strong woman syndrome can affect your relationship with God. So, when was the last time that you were humbled on your knees, crying out to the Father and asking Him, I need you. I can't do this without you. When was the last time that you were able to really look at yourself and love you and say, you are beautiful inside and out? I want you to take out the time and I want you to claim your life back, claim your name back, but do not take upon this badge that was never intended for you to carry. You have everything you need, and repurpose your strength to give you the fuel to become a better you, not to put you in these unrealistic expectations of having to show up, have it all together, ask for no help. Those are lies, lies to slowly kill you. So take your stance, take your authority back, take your strength back in the way that you're supposed to so that you can stand on your own and not need any validation from anyone because you just got validated, and be okay to ask for help. Or if you know you need deeper help, therapy does not mean that you're crazy. It means that you love yourself enough to talk to someone who can give you the tools to become better. Does not mean you're crazy. I challenge you today to call someone and open up and tell them what you've been going through. Hear from someone else to pour into you. You are on empty. You cannot you can't go another mile like this. Your life will begin to show the disaster that's creating. Take a minute, call on someone, let them pour into you and be okay with it. And just live. Just live. Live, 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 live. That's all I can really say. I know for me, I wasn't living. I was I thought I was living, but I was keeping a face. It was a fake face with multiple hats. Take all the hats off. Take the mask off. I promise you everybody will still live. They're going to be all right. We need you to focus on you and make you a priority.
Thank you so much, Coach Janice, for those words, because guess what? It is time to live. It is time to live your best life. And whatever that looks like for you, you're able to do that and
Yeah.
be confident in it and not feel bad about choosing
Right.
you. It is okay to choose you. It is not selfish to choose you. It's okay. It is perfectly okay to choose yourself. And so I want to shift a little bit because I want you to tell everybody about get your pink back. So tell them about your brunch that you're having. It's the brunch is coming up in June and it is called Get Your Pink Back. I have the flyer here. It says, Sis, get your pink back. Tell us a little bit about that. I have the flyer here and I'm gonna drop the link
Yes.
below for anybody who wants to join and get your tickets.
Yes, yes, yes. So just real quick, when you're just, I'm gonna say this last, no, these two last quotes. It just came to me. If you don't mind, Dr. Taniko.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk about this brunch, but just two things. One is no, right, is the end of a sentence. You don't need to explain why you're saying no. Okay. So no does not need an explanation. So please take no in 2024 as part of your vocabulary. No, it's a complete sentence. Number two is someone's urgency is not your emergency. Okay. They have a situation. It doesn't mean that you self neglect yourself. You can balance it, but their urgency is not your emergency. Okay. You cannot be superwoman and go to rescue. Rescue yourself first. Okay. All righty. So, about my brunch, I'm so excited. So,
Yay!
this Get Your Pink Back brunch. It's June 8th. Tickets right now, early bird special, only $35. The brunch, oh my God, I just finished the menu. I'm so excited. It's so tasty. I have so many different speakers. A lot of the speakers from my reset conference from last year will be returning. I'm very excited. Our very own Dr. Tyniko is the MC.
Yay!
And it's going to be right here in Florence at 1125 West Evan Street, June 8th on Saturday. Please go ahead. This is going to be very limited seating. So make sure you get your tickets at the 35 price because in a little while they're going to go to regular pricing. So if you're trying to get, okay, what's the whole get your pink back? Well, I was watching this TikTok. I'm sure you guys probably might have heard it. It talked about the flamingo, that the flamingo, the mother flamingos, that when they have their babies, you know how flamingos have that beautiful pink. Well, after they have their babies, they begin to lose their pink because of the baby taking the nutrients and the energy from the mother. And so they get their pink back after that baby flamingo becomes independent. And so I made the correlation as far as women, how we begin to lose our pink because we take care of everybody else. We have the strong woman syndrome, and everybody else is first, and I'm last, and I can't ask for help, and I'm drained from this, I'm drained from that, I'm drained from the toxic relationship, or don't know how to say no, or I have the wrong circle, or I'm sitting on this book, but I'm not good enough to write it, or whatever it may be. There's different scenarios that can be literally draining our pink, right? So this brunch is for us to learn how to get our pink back in whatever area that you might be depleting from. So yeah, that's what the brunch is about. And we're resetting our lives on that day. And the event is from 10 to 3. And again, click the link so you can get your early bird ticket. And also, I
Thank
do have vendors and sponsorship opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Janice. We are excited about Get Your Pink Back Brunch. It is going to be in a time of empowerment, refreshing, getting reset so that you can do the things that you need to do. So we are excited. I have dropped the link below for those of you who are here. Make sure you click the link. It's in the comments. It's also in the description box as well. The link for the pink brunch. So listen, I want to thank you so much, Coach Janice, for being my special guest on tonight. I want to thank our sponsor for tonight, which is Queen's Care Coaching and Consulting Firm. And so I'm excited. If you would love to be a sponsor and sponsor this amazing podcast, we're doing great things. We want to touch women's lives all over the world with conversations that are near and dear, not only to my heart, but to women's hearts all over America, where we can have a voice to collaborate, to share, and to get the healing and hope that we need. So thank you so much, Dr. Janice, for being my
No,
guest
thank
tonight.
you.
Yes, you have been on the Queen's Couch. This is the place where queens definitely collaborate and do not collide. I'm excited to have you join me on tonight. And listen, as we go off on tonight, I want you to remember one thing, that it's okay to divorce the strong woman. It is okay to divorce her. And guess what? You can marry strength, femininity, and your soft life. It's all about womanhood. It's not about being the strong woman, but it's about womanhood. So listen, go be great. Live the best life you can possibly live for you. Not looking at other people's lives, but your best life. So thank you, Coach Janice, for being on here tonight. And you have been on the Queen's Couch. This is a place where queens collaborate and do not collide. Thank you for joining us on the couch. Hello and welcome to the Queen's Couch podcast with our amazing host, Dr. Tyniko Victoria. She curates a space for women where all women are encouraged to collaborate and do not collide. Join us on the couch tonight.